Purchaser's name is going to be you. Actually, that should be Claytown. All right, excuse me. Purchaser's name is going to be the name of your trust. So you're going to have the name of your trust on the bill of sale. All right, and the date that the transaction is taking place, plus your purchase price. So if you don't want everybody to know what your purchase price is, because that's not really relevant, you can just put a nominal amount, or you put the price of the car. So if you bought it for $10,000, you put the purchase price as $10,000. All right. Management of your beneficiaries agreement says that they have the right to manage and administer the trust at the direction of the beneficiaries through the trustee. A checking account, if you had a checking account that for this trust, you would put that number there. We don't have a checking account for it because we're paying cash for it. Loans, there's no loans on it. So if you were getting a loan, then you would put your loan on there, and then you would put the lender's name. You guys see all that? That's all it is to this trust. And if you can do one trust, you can do another one of any type. Basically, you're just getting all the information and putting it in the respective fields. All right, so that's the trust we just created. When you go down, here we go. There goes your appointment of personal property trust trustee. So all of the information that we filled in on the previous document is down in the form that were created. So we have our personal property trustee appointment. And you can see that the beneficiary is going to have to sign. So John Smith is going to sign. He's the 100% beneficiary or beneficial interest. All right. And then the daughter, Alice Davis, is going to have to sign accepting the trust appointment. If we had a successor beneficiary, same thing, or successor trustee, you would have them fill out everything. We don't have a successor trustee appointed. We're not going to have a director. And here goes our personal property trust agreement. Remember, these are the same documents, just that these documents say personal property trust versus land trust. Hopefully everybody can follow that. Personal property trust versus land trust. Now, it's going to name everything we said. John Smith is a beneficiary 100%. And if something happens to him, it names the successor beneficiaries. You can see their names. James Smith and Sarah Hunt. Now, the tricky part, guys, if you're putting your automobile in trust, then what you're going to have, I'm going to go through the rest of the documents. Here goes your Exhibit A to your trust document. It tells you what the trust asset is. It says it's a black 2000 Jeep Wrangler and the VIN number. Then here goes your personal property trust beneficiaries agreement. This just says what the beneficiaries' responsibilities are in the trust. All right, very simple. Now, this is something I want to highlight. Bill of sale into personal property trust. This is where you bought the property from the dealer and you deeded it to your trust, right off the bat. So Claytown Auto Sales was the car dealership, and you deeded the property you deeded the car into the World Missions United 1216 Trust with Alice Davis as your trustee. Everybody follow that? That's real simple. That's your bill of sale. So when you go to get title for this car, you're going to take your bill of sale. Listen to me closely. You're going to take the bill of sale and the title that you got from the dealership, the title paperwork to your local DMV. This is the documents you take to the DMV, along with the title addendum. So this is just an addendum to the title. Okay. Again, Exhibit B is your description of the trust asset. Basically just says that you have a black 2000 Jeep Wrangler. And this will be for your insurance company. You'll make a letter for your insurance company to get your title, get your insurance. Or if you had financing on it, you may send that to your bank just to explain to them that you're holding a car in a trust. For some of you retired military folks, if you're using like Navy Federal, USAA, Pentagon Federal Credit Union, those type of institutions, they're familiar with these trust processes, and they process this stuff very easily, okay? Because they get a lot of people that actually do trust. You know, it's important that you're able to just at least have a working knowledge to be able to tell them what you're doing. Just basically, again, for estate planning purposes, we have been advised to title our property into a trust, and so we're sending you this package so that you can put our properties in trust and record insurance accordingly, okay? Or apply insurance accordingly. That's a personal property trust, guys. That is the completion of a personal property trust. Now, let me tell you what your problem is going to be right off the bat. Go ahead and tell you right now what problems you're going to have. You're going to have a problem in most cases. Most of your DMVs, they're going to have a clown working at the desk that don't know nothing about what you're talking about. All right. So when you walk into that DMV office, be prepared to be frustrated for a minute or so, because they're going to take your documentation and they're going to start finding somebody else in the office and start asking questions. And somebody may come back and tell you, well, we can't do this or we don't know how to do this. Then you ask to speak to the manager. And then they may end up calling the state DMV instead of the local agency. They may end up calling the state DMV office, the main office, and have somebody that gives them some direction on what they need to do. But don't get frustrated and quit. All right. And if you end up taking 1, 2, 3, or 4 cars down there, you're going to educate them and they'll know how to do it in the future. All right. So you're going to spend some time training some of these people that you come in contact with. Like I said, this stuff right here, guys, is basically most of what we're doing right now. These are the methods that people of affluence use all the time to take care of their assets. All right. That was the personal property trust. Let's see. Now, no, I'm going to go ahead and take a few questions on the personal property trust. So if you have some questions on that, or you have some questions, I'm going to stop right here and take about 10 minutes to answer questions, and then we'll move on. Again, guys, don't get overwhelmed with this process. It really is very, very simple. If you look at it, I'm just going to do something in my booklet just for a second, just while you guys are getting your questions together. I am going to just take real quick. I'm just going to do something. So what I'm going to tell you, you're going to print up, if you can see me standing here, when you form your trust, just like I have in my hand right here, you're going to have all of your papers. This is all of your trust. This is it. You know, maybe 15 pages worth of documents. This is your trust. Remember, I said this is your trust that you created. It's your personal document. Nobody gets it. I can't emphasize that enough. Nobody gets the document. All right. You're going to record your deed and your affidavit. So if you pull those out, you would take your deed and affidavit. So here's your deed and affidavit. You're going to take them downtown and record it. And the rest of the documents, you're going to take and put in your folder. This is your personal record. You do with it what you want to do with it. So we don't need to question that. These are your documents. You created these documents. They're for your personal use. It's just like if you went out and had an attorney prepare a will for you. You would put your documents up in a safe place and then govern yourselves accordingly. But you have prepared your trust. Remember what I said in regards to that personal property trust. For that personal property trust, all of your everything that's personal property can go in that personal property trust. Any personal property. Questions? Okay. Just 1 second before we get to the question. I just want to put the slide back up on the screen real quick, if I can. Will it go back to the slide, Dave? Okay, so guys, there goes your personal property trust. That's what goes in it, what's on the screen there, okay? Like I said, a bank account, jewelry, your house, car, and if you have a land trust, your land trust will also go inside your personal property trust. And that personal property trust form that we just completed, you use that same form to basically put in whatever asset you're going to put in it. You still use a personal property trust preparation document, okay? Same document for everything other than real estate. All right. Okay, now I'll go to the question. If we put our personal name as beneficiary for personal property, can't you still be traced and lose your personal property? No, because nobody knows you're the beneficiary. Because if you put your personal name as the beneficiary, there's no doubt. Don't get confused, guys. There's nothing that gets recorded on public record that names the beneficiary. There is nothing that gets recorded. The only name that actually will get recorded on anything is the name of your trustee, period. No successor beneficiaries, nothing. So you don't have to worry about that. Land trust or personal property trust, it doesn't matter. Okay, I own multiple cars already paid for. Can I add them to one personal trust, or what I need to do to create multiple ones? Guys, I'm always telling you to create multiple trusts. Now you can have a personal property trust that has multiple properties in it, but my suggestion to you would be to create one personal property trust for each car. Okay, that way, if you go out and have a car accident and something happens, then if you had to produce documents, they don't see that you own 3 or 4 different other vehicles in that personal property trust. So it just divides or singles out that one asset. So my suggestion, one personal property trust that holds your each car. Good morning. Does your personal property trust or land trust allow you to avoid paying state and or federal estate taxes? No, because it's still property owned. Guys, this just gives you a level of anonymity. You still have to report stuff. You don't get away from paying taxes, period. Come on now. If you are the current owner of your vehicle, can you put yourself as the seller, or how would you structure that? Yes. So if you already have your vehicle and you want to put it in a trust, you're going to name yourself as the seller, selling that property to the trust. Nobody's going to know who owns the trust. You just deeded the property to the trust. Okay? They don't know who the beneficiary is. All right? So you just take your title work over to the DMV. All right, along with your trust documents that you prepared. And the only thing, let me say this too, when you go to the DMV, they're going to want to see all of your trust documentation too. Guys, take that title addendum and you're going to create a certificate and affidavit, just like we had with the land trust. You're going to take a certificate and affidavit of personal property trust, and you give them that and let them argue till the cows come home, but you're not going to give them the whole trust document. They don't need to see that. All right, they do not need to see that. So that's how you work that. Since there's no reg requirements, can we simply have 1 to 2 Wyoming entities then operate via trust as the virtual entities? I guess you can do a follow-on question with this. I guess my question back to you: are you trying to have your trust property operating? I'm not really understanding what you're asking in the question. So if you can just clarify, I'll go to the next one. You can just clarify that, and I'll come back to it. Can you create a Wyoming LLC that is managed by yourself as trustee for your land and or personal property trust? Yes, you could. And of course, that Wyoming LLC, you're going to make sure that in that Wyoming LLC that you have named a nominee that's managing that LLC whose name is on public record in Wyoming and not your name. So you may have to contact Wyoming and find, you can Google or whatever and find the nominee services or the entity formation services that they have out there that offer individuals that will be your director or nominee for the purpose of, of you maintaining your Wyoming LLC or corporation. And guys, they're going to charge you. You might be paying $200 or $300 for somebody just to be a nominee, but that's the cost of doing business. It takes your name off public record, and I think that's worth it. How do you inform the insurance company the vehicle is under personal trust? Just like the same as if you went and bought a car. You're going to call them up and say, hey, I just bought a vehicle. I bought the vehicle in a trust, and I'll be sending you the documents to show that that give you all the information relevant to the vehicle being titled in the trust. Just that simple. Can I hire my parents as employees to the Wyoming C Corporation and get them insurance and 401k? Absolutely. Absolutely. You want to take care of your parents, and this is a way you can funnel money down to them and you get a tax break for it. That was a great question. Anonymous, whoever did that one, that was a great question. Yes, you could. You could hire your parents in your company, and they will be entitled to insurance and benefits that your company pays. And now you're taking care of your parents, and you're getting a tax break and benefit for doing it. Great question. When you own a property and want to put it in a trust, is it a quit claim? When you own a property and want to put it in a trust, is it a quit claim? No, it's not a quit claim. It is an actual deed to trust. So you're actually deeding your property by virtue of warranty deed to the trust. Okay. So it's not a quitclaim. So I want to go back to that. I want to stay right there for just a second on that question, because I want you to understand the answer that I gave. So all of you have your books. So relevant to that question, if you go back to page 51 in your book, so go to page 51 in your book, and on page 51, you're going to see the deed, and it says North Carolina General Warranty Deed. If you're in Texas, it's going to be a Texas General Warranty Deed. If you're in Florida, it's going to be a Florida General Warranty Deed. So you are not, this is not a quitclaim. This is an actual deed. Quitclaim deeds, I tell you to stop using them for the most part. They're useless, okay, for the most part, because you don't have a clear title. There's no warranty to the title. All right. Can a car lease go into a personal property trust? What happens when the lease is over with the trust? Yes, a car lease could go into a personal property trust. And when the lease is over, the trust is terminated. Guys, let's say this. Let's clear that up too. Guys, while we're talking, while we're having questions about stuff like this. Y'all, you look at me. So when you terminate that, when you terminate that trust, you can basically, when you terminate that trust, you can basically tear you, as far as that situation goes with that car lease, you can tear it up, or you just put it in your file and have it as something to retain. But that's over with. The trust is gone. Once the property has been sold, the trust is terminated. The trust no longer exists. The asset's gone. Okay? So the trust is terminated. If you sell the property, the trust is gone, unless you sell the property to someone that elects to keep the property in your trust. And they could do that. They could keep the property in the trust, just like I demonstrated on yesterday when I said this. When I said that if you wanted to sell this land trust by virtue of selling the beneficial interest to someone else, you would simply do an assignment of beneficial interest. They would pay you. You did a contract. They pay you for the assignment. And now you're going to give them the property in still the 123 Main Street Trust. You may have your trustee right now, but they're going to name their own trustee. They're going to change trustee. And they don't have to go downtown and record a change of trustee. They can do a certificate and affidavit of trust and just retain it in their records so long as it's notarized. Now, if I were them, I would go and just record the substitution of trustee just so that I can make sure you can't come back and try to make a claim to my property now. So I would put a certificate of substitution of trustee recorded downtown. It still doesn't say anything that the property got transferred. It just says we just changed the trustee. Okay? What makes the transfer official? You did. What makes the transfer official is is the black ink on white paper that you filled out. That was where you assigned that beneficial interest in the trust. So one of the documents that you got, guys. Let's go back to another piece of paperwork. We sent you in your booklets that you had inside the jacket in your book, and we emailed the other one to you guys. It says assignment of beneficial interest in trust. It's just like you guys were wholesaling or doing something else. If you're doing an assignment agreement with somebody, does that make it official? Huh? If you do an assignment agreement with somebody and you fill out black ink on white paper and sign it, it's official. It's going to be notarized. You assigned your beneficial interest in the trust. Okay? If you put your personal property in a trust, do you put it in an LLC after? All right. All right, guys, we need to start paying attention because we're overcomplicating this process, because I've demonstrated this thing at least 3 times now. All right. If you put your personal property in a trust, so if you put your car in a trust, just like I explained on yesterday, and you wanted to make your LLC the beneficiary of that trust, you're going to take that personal property trust and your LLC is the beneficiary. There it goes. End of story. Yes. Simple. Simple. We're asking the same things because we're overcomplicating the simple process for the most part. Yes. If you put your personal property in a trust and you name your LLC as the beneficiary, remember what I said yesterday, guys. Whatever you put in the trust, all you have for when you put it in a trust is you have created a level of anonymity. You don't get asset protection until you actually put it in the trust. I mean, in the LLC. When you put the trust in the LLC, now you have asset protection through your entity. That LLC is providing the asset protection. Okay? Can you use the same trustee for another land trust or personal property trust? You can use the same trustee as often as you like. Now, the thing that I would tell you is I would really sit back and think about how often I want to use the same person as trustee, because now remember that trustee's name is on public record. So now you have his name. So now if you use the same trustee and you have 10 properties on public record with this same individual's name as the trustee, then you're kind of giving it away a little bit and taking away from your anonymity, because they're going to see, hey, this guy's got a lot of property, something going on here. Although he could be representing multiple clients. It could be a person that's representing multiple clients, but I don't think I want to have my trustee answer for that. So maybe 2, 3, or 4 properties, and then I'm going to use someone else as a trustee. So we can open bank accounts under a trust from the start, or is it only deeded after it's open? Okay, we're going to talk about that, and I can illustrate that to you. What we sent you on this morning, I believe we sent you a document. Let me try to pull that up real quick while you're on that question. I guess it's camera 2, Dave. Yeah. Okay, so while you're asking that question there, this morning we sent you some documents. You should have received those via email. All right, and remember, you're still going to fill out your personal property trust. You also, we're giving you a checklist to open a personal property trust bank account. So it's telling you everything you're going to do. Now, when you open a personal property trust bank account, you're going to be naming yourself as trustee. This is the one account that you want to name yourself as the trustee on, because you don't want any and everybody to have your money. You know, if you feel safe giving it to somebody else, you do it. You ain't getting mine. I just tell you that right now. All right. But so this is all the instructions you're going to do. So you're going to basically, if you look at the instructions on the screen, you're going to name your trust bank account name. All right. Whatever you want to call it. ABC bank account trust or whatever you want to call it. You're going to fill out your personal property trust creation worksheet, just what we just did for the car. You're going to appoint a trustee who's going to be you, so that you can write checks and everything on the account. You can appoint a successor trustee, but they don't actually have to be on the signature card right now unless you elect to choose to do so, because they're going to be named in the trust agreement, and the bank would have to honor that. All right. You're gonna do all the declaration of trust agreement that we just talked about earlier. All right. And then you're going to direct the trustee to open a trust bank account. How do we do that? We're going to do that by, first of all, going to the IRS website or either by completing this form. So you're going to fill a form SS4. Everybody see this? All right. It says the missions. Let me make it a little bit bigger for you if we can. All right. So it says the Missions Estate Investments Trust. All right. And what you're doing is you're completing to get a tax ID number or an employee ID number for your trust bank account, because this trust bank account is going to have a tax ID number different from yours. All right. So when you're completing this, guys, all right, going to fill in the applicable information. If your name was T.D. Swanson, that's who the trustee is. So T.D. Swanson is the trustee. Going to put in the address to your mailbox or whatever account you're using, or whatever mail service you're using, not to your personal residence. All right. The name of the responsible person is going to be you. You're going to put in your social security number here because the IRS wants to know who's trying to open up the account. That still doesn't mean that you have a responsibility to this. So I want you to understand something. You can come to me on this part, Dave. I want you to understand something. You have your personal ID number, and that trust is going to have a tax ID number. So you have your social security number, the trust has its tax ID number. All right. Just because you give the IRS your social security number doesn't mean that that's your money. I want you to understand that. You're just a trustee, and they need the trustee's EIN number. That's why what I was telling you earlier, guys, what I'm trying to say is, if you picture these two boxes again. I want you to understand what's going on. Let's do this one more time. Picture these two boxes. And these boxes right now don't represent trust. They represent bank accounts. They represent bank accounts. And yes, one of them is your trust bank account. And this is your regular account that you use day to day. All right. The personal property trust is your trust bank account. And this is just your regular checking account. What you're trying to do is you want to keep the majority of your money in this account all the time. Okay. So if something happens to you personally over here, then the only thing that's really at risk is the little bit of money that you have in your personal account. As you need money, you're going to draw money from your trust account to either fund your personal account or to fund you directly. But if something happens to you, let's say you get a lawsuit, I don't have no money over here. All I have is $565 in the bank over here. That's all I have to my name. I forgot to tell you about the $500,000 I have in my trust bank account. All right? Because you know, guys, when you owe the IRS money, when you owe them money, you know, you thought you had some money in your checking account, and the people start calling you, telling you wrote them a bad check, and you saying, ain't no way. I know I got at least $15,000 in the bank, and you go in there and find out that Uncle Sam took all your money overnight because you owed him some money. All right? This right here keeps that from happening. Hopefully that was clear for you. Let's go back to the other screen with the bank account checklist. All right. So again, just because you don't start fretting because you're having to put your social security number here. All right. Don't start fretting. You actually could put your LLC's social security number, EIN number there. That doesn't mean that this is your money. You could be managing this trust bank account on behalf of your grandmother. You could be managing that trust bank account on behalf of other clients. Okay? A lot of people get afraid when they see that because they say, well, I thought they said that I had anonymity. The IRS still knows they have my social security number. Well, yeah, that's my social security number. It's not my account. All right, so if we go down, rest of what you're going to complete, what you're doing here, it says type of entity you're forming. You're forming a trust in 9A. All right. You're going to go down in box 10, reason for applying. A grantor trust, you created the trust, which happens to be a trust bank account. Closing month of accounting year, be December. All the other stuff is non-applicable. And then you're going to put that basically you're forming this trust so that you can have fiduciary responsibility over the handling of that bank account. And then so you're going to put down here is for fiduciary services. You're going to put your designees, you're going to put your name there and sign up. And in most cases, guys, you're not going to sign anything because you're going to fill this out online. So you're going to fill this out online. The IRS is going to give you an EIN number instantly. And you're going to have this SS4 form that says that the IRS has accepted this and given you an EIN number. You're going to take your trust documents. Back to me, Dave. You're going to take your trust documents that you created. So you're going to create those trust documents. You're going to go down to the bank. Now, the banks, more than likely, they will ask you for the all the trust paperwork. And I don't care if the bank, if they whatever, I will give them the if to get it done. If they need it, give them the trust documents. Let them do what they need to do. All right, because it's still going to be titled to a trust, and that's fine. You don't have to. You're not going to have to worry about it. Okay. Now, if you can get by with a certificate, then you can try it. But I can tell you, most of the time when you go to the bank, they're going to argue with you over and over that they need that document. So if you want it done, just give them the documents and move on. But that's how you open a bank account. You're going to go down there with your trust documents and tell them for estate planning purposes. I'm working with an estate planning attorney, and he recommended that for estate planning purposes that I open up a trust bank account, and I like to open up a bank account in this name. And here goes my EIN number, SS4 from the IRS. You got all those documents, guys. They're going to open up the bank account, and there you go. End of story. Real simple. All right, to clarify, can we just use a Wyoming LLC or two and not need local state LLCs? If you're operating in the state, if you're going to be conducting business in the state, my recommendation is that you get particularly if you're holding properties in the state, you're going to have an LLC registered in the state, because those properties are doing business in the state. Now, if you have the Wyoming LLCs and you actually have rental property that is titled to a trust, remember what I said yesterday, the trust is operating in the state, and the trust is not required to have a tax, the trust is not required to be registered with the state. Everybody get that? So if you have a trust for property in Georgia and you form a Wyoming LLC, then that Wyoming LLC will own that trust, but that trust does not have to be registered with the state. However, like I said, if you just buy properties, you can't just have a property with registered under Wyoming as the owning organization and doing business in the state, because if you do that, they're going to have you register as a foreign agent. So that means you're going to have two LLC registrations going on for that. Anyway, okay. Next question. Yes, you can put stock investments in a trust as well. Yeah, you can put stock investments in trust as well. Still personal property. So the only person that might want to see the trust agreement is the bank when creating a trust bank account. That's the only person that you're going to have to see the trust. There's no, who else is going to want to see it? You're only dealing with the bank. You're not dealing with anybody else. The IRS isn't going to want to see it. So yes, the only person that's going to want to see it is your banker. They're going to go, you know, because so many, you got to understand from a banking perspective, so many people are trying to do fraudulent stuff. That's why they're trying to make sure everything is legit. Can you please just go over who goes as grantors on the general warranty deed? Guys, let me tell you something. I'm answering that question. The grantor is the person that's putting the property in the trust. You got, you know, the person that's selling the property. The grantor is the person that's selling the property. Go back to page 51. Because some of you, I'm gonna just tell you, you know, not to slight you, but you're overcomplicating this process because you really don't understand the process of what you're doing with real estate, period, right now. That's why you're asking those type of questions. All right, because that doesn't have anything to do with the trust. If you were just buying a property, the grantor is the person that you're buying the property from. Period. So, you know. End of story. The grantor is the person that you're buying the property from. They're deeding the property from themselves to you as the grantee. So if you look on page 51, in your manual, it says that the grantor, and it names those two homeowners, James Goodman and Mary Goodman, as the grantors. And they're granting the property to the 123 Main Street Estates Trust. All right. If a lawsuit occurs or IRS subpoena your bank record, can't they connect you to the trust bank account via deposits too? Now, when they get that deep, when you get into going that deep, possibly yes, they could connect you to the trust bank account if you get that deep into a lawsuit, for sure. Remember, guys. Asset protection, this a lot of this stuff is almost just a smoke screen so that you appear broke or you have a level of anonymity on public record. You know, when someone wants to really come after you, they're coming after you. And so that's why you want to make sure you put these things in place properly so that you may ward someone off from going that far because you appear as though you don't have anything. But yes, they can definitely go back and eventually trace and see that you've been getting money from that account. All right. Are you able to swap assets in a personal property trust? Yes, you can. All right. You could just, trust sells a car and wants to replace it. You can use that same trust. You sold one out by virtue of bill of sale, an assignment of trust, and you bought one in, and you can use the same trust name and everything. You just changed assets for the trust. Absolutely. Can having a bank account and a trust protect you from a divorce settlement? Probably not, because your wife probably already know what you have anyway. Just straight up. If you ain't already done it, and if you in the marriage now, you haven't already done it, you probably can forget it. I have an LLC with a partner already. Do you recommend forming a Wyoming LLC also? If yes, do we form one together? That's on you and your partner, what you're actually trying to accomplish. All right. I guess that depends really on your overall objective, because if you're trying to do something where you and your partner are trying to get the benefits and everything that I named earlier, then yes, you can form it together. Otherwise, you need to form something on your own if you're the only one that you're trying to get to have the benefits package for. Do we check property for liens and judgments before deeding it to our trust? Guys, come on now. This is real estate. This is real estate. You're asking basic questions. Would you just buy a property or take over a property before you did a title search? No. you're asking questions that are just, I mean, that, you know, the trust doesn't change anything other than that's just providing anonymity, guys. You're asking basic questions that, what I'm trying to tell you, you don't take title to any property without doing a title search and finding out whether there's liens and or judgments. So, because for what? If you don't want to take over property that is encumbered by stuff like that. So no, you're going to check for everything all the time. This is real estate. When you have a Wyoming LLC and you're establishing another LLC in another state, who is the incorporator? The incorporator will actually be the managing member of the Wyoming LLC, which is going to be your nominee director in Wyoming. Remember, I said, guys, that we have two types of companies. We have member managed and manager managed. So the company that you're going to hold your properties in, say Georgia, that's where your rental properties are, that's going to be your member managed LLC. All right. The company in Wyoming is your manager managed LLC. All right. Hold on. Let me clarify that for you. All right. The company that you're holding properties in is going to be, you're going to elect to have that as a manager managed LLC. That way, only one person has to sign documentation. Let me make sure we're clear. The company that you're holding properties in, so the Wyoming is going to be a manager managed LLC. Okay? It's already a manager managed LLC. Or member, excuse me. You guys got me going. All right. So the Wyoming company, guys, is going to be a member managed LLC, and your title holding company is going to be a manager managed LLC. That's in your respective state. And you want that one to be your manager managed LLC because that's the only person that's required to sign the documentation, just the manager. You know, if you have 3 or 4 members in your LLC, they want to see all that on your state records. But if it's a manager managed LLC, you will only have the name of the responsible party as the manager of the LLC, which is going to be your Wyoming company. Okay. So hopefully that clarified it. Got me twisted for a second. And this is going to be the last one. We're going to take a break for lunch. Just to clarify, we form a Wyoming LLC as a 2% managing member of the state LLC using Wyoming nominee service. Correct. Absolutely. You got it. You got it. All right, guys, we are going to take a lunch break. We're going to be back here at 1:15. So 1:15, we will start back up. So we will see you at 1:15, and we will start getting into the subject 2 part of the presentation. Take a break.